Hey, what's up, everybody? Super Fan Santi of All Gas, No Brakes. We are back again. We got a special guest, Vennard Wright. I'm going to have him introduce himself because this man has done it all. You've done it all. And you are inspiration to me after reading about you and what you've done. You motivated me because I feel like I'm following that same path, trying to get to sea level. And technology, though, but more entertainment, but still it's technology.
Absolutely.
So, if you don't mind telling everybody your name of your companies, your websites, how we can follow you, the social media, all that good stuff.
Sure. So I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to speak with you.
Thank you.
So, in terms of my career, it's about 30 years in technology now. So, worked for a number of different companies, and I am proud of the fact, and really didn't pay attention to the fact until recently, that I have been at the C level for 4 separate billion-dollar organizations. So the first was EDS, Electronic Data Systems, Ross Perot's company, for people who may not be familiar. I was the Chief Technology Officer there and also Technical Organization Delivery Manager over the law enforcement portfolio, which was Homeland Security, Department of Justice, and Department of State. So those accounts reported up in terms of their technology and what we're going to do to make sure those customers have what they needed. After that, I was Director of Technology for Hillary Clinton during her Senate re-election and 2008 presidential campaign. After that, I was CIO for Prince George's County, which is where we're headquartered right now, second largest county in the state of Maryland.
Yes, it is.
So I was there for 6.5 years. And after that, I was CIO for WSSC Water, which is the 8th largest public water utility in the country. I was also CIO and VP of Operations for Iron Bow Technologies, which is now they're close to $2 billion, but a mostly federal contractor. So their IT, information security, manufacturing, operations, and governance reported up to me.
Wow.
So in 2020, most would say it wasn't a wise decision, but I made the decision anyway to start my own company. And I had a conversation with someone just last week about why that happened. So there were a couple of different things that happened in 2020, very visible things. Of course, everyone knows that the COVID-19 pandemic kicked off, which made a lot of people really consider why they were doing what they were doing. What does it mean to have work-life balance? So for me, I got to the point where I was pretty burned out in terms of being a CIO. I was really fascinated with being a CEO and didn't really see the path to going from a CIO to a CEO within an organization. So it's a clear path, at least for me, to be a COO to a CEO, but not a CIO to a CEO. So I said, best way for me to make that happen, even though I was making a great salary, is to rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. So I started the company. Another reason I was looking at it in 2020 is what happened with George Floyd. So in 2020, I was 47 years old, same age as George Floyd, and that's probably where most of the similarities end and began. Because, we don't have a lot of other things in common, but it did make me focus on the fact that in this country, there has been a history that in a lot of ways is being pushed backwards. So that really did a lot of things to me, and I'd been quiet in most of my career about racial things and, just what happens in terms of, I'm not going to say minority, I've been told not to say minority, but diverse people. And certainly, and I was successful, I think, partially because I was quiet. But at that point, I didn't want to be as quiet anymore, which causes issues. So that was another reason why it was time for me to really reevaluate what I did moving forward. So I started Wave Welcome in 2020 to offer IT and cyber managed services for organizations who couldn't typically afford to hire a CIO like myself. A CIO is expensive. And what I wanted to do was to make sure the small to medium-sized organizations, nonprofits, had access to the top levels of technology. So I do take pride in not just putting in technology, because technology is not the most immediate answer. In a lot of cases, it really means that you should change the way your organization is operating, which a CIO does. You should be taking a look at how your people are performing. Do you have the right people? CIO does that. And of course, we are responsible for technology as well, but that's the last thing I take a look at. When I do, I want to make sure that technology is lining up with the strategy for an organization, which means that you have to have a strategy in place, and if you don't, it's my job to make sure there's a strategy there. So that was that. We had success pretty quickly because of my network. I have a lot of people that I can reach out to and
you worked for Hillary Clinton.
I did, yeah.
You have every
That's right.
right to have that.
That's right. Yeah. So I was able to say, hey, I'm
And
hanging
parole.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Would you say working with EDS first got you into the door, into the Hillary working for them?
I do think so, but I don't know that it was necessarily because of the Ross Perot connection.
Okay.
I think that at that point, I started to be more visible.
Okay.
So all of the positions I had, all of the C-level positions, I don't know if people realize this, but I didn't apply for any of them. Not
Wow.
So
they reached out to you.
They reached out to me.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I try to emphasize to people. You do have a brand. So you do have to make sure that people know you exist, because there are opportunities that are never advertised.
How do you make them know that you exist?
Well, so I think that in IT, a lot of times we tend to fade to the background.
Yes, I noticed that a lot.
I've never been that guy.
Okay.
I've never been that guy. So
you were opposite of what the IT managers or C-suite normally are.
Yeah, so from an early age, I was fascinated with success. So I grew up in a very much blue-collar household. My father worked 35 years for the post office. And, it's not a knock against him, because my father was one of my heroes.
That's right.
But at the same time, I didn't have anyone around who I considered to be an executive. But I always saw executives. I mean, back then in the 80s, I don't know he has a bad name now, but the Cosby Show was on. You see a doctor and a lawyer.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, but that was foreign to me.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to understand what success meant and work my way backwards and try to form the path to get there. So, I mean, it was just one of those things where, I just slowly figured it out. And one of the things that makes you successful is promoting what you know, which goes against black culture a lot of times, because we're taught to be humble. And there is a difference between being boastful and just saying, hey, here's what I did. It's a fact. It's not me bragging, or I'm not lying. I actually did these things.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, okay, here's what I did. But when you're saying, okay, I was the one who was responsible, because you're the one who's going to get blamed if this thing goes wrong for making sure this multi-million-dollar project succeeds. Yes, it's me and my team. But I'm not going to say I didn't have anything to do with it when I did.
That's right.
So you have to talk about those things when you have success.
I enjoyed one of your stories about why you moved from $40K a year to C-suite.
Yeah.
That's about your wife.
That's
You
right.
mind touching on that a little bit? I love that story.
Yeah. So my wife actually added some color to it just over the weekend. So I went to University of Maryland, Smith School of Business. We were talking about that. Go Terps. Talking about that earlier. And I graduated. I got married to my wife at 22.
Wow.
Now, I'm one of the few. Yeah, I'm one of the few where that actually worked. And,
Congratulations.
I give her more credit than I give myself for that being the case. Thank you. So I remember, I was working in finance and contracts administration. I was probably making 45 at the time. I'm happy with my, that. I was good.
Yeah, you were okay, yeah.
So she told me the whole story. She said she came home. She was a cosmetologist, which is what she is by trade. Pulls a wad of money out of her pocket. And she said, here is your paycheck, your $45,000 paycheck. And I made more today than you did in 2 weeks, with her hair, the hair mixed in with the money. But it was,
it was cash. Cold
cash. And she said, what's wrong with this picture? So I got into IT to make more money than my wife, and it ended up working out. I mean, I passed her quickly, but I didn't have as much cash as she did. But, I made sure she saw that paycheck. Yeah, I got you beat.
Hey. So that motivated you. That's so great. How does she feel about that when you say that story?
She loves it. I mean, it's what she wanted. She got the outcome she was looking for.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you said all brakes, no gas. She wanted to take her foot off the gas.
Yeah,
How about that?
She completely wanted to take
it. There you go.
Like, your turn.
Yeah, that's right.
And you did
it.
So what was that exact role you had at that nonprofit? What was that time?
So I was an operations and technology coordinator.
So you were somewhat in the...
Yeah, and this is one of the things where I give that boss credit. Okay. So his name is Frank Beetle de Palomo. I was working for the Academy for Educational Development. So Frank is one of the people, and there have been these shifts throughout my career, but it was because someone gave me a shot. Mm-hmm. So he was one who gave me a shot because when I was hired as an operations coordinator. Mm. And that was really doing finance and contracts administration. I told him, because my wife, laid down the gauntlet, hey, I'd like to get into technology. So he added technology to my title. Mm. So that was my first paid position in technology. So I became an operations and technology coordinator, which set me on the path. I was doing like web development, some graphic design, but it was...
But you have a business admin degree.
I did.
How did you on your own take time to learn tech? Where was tech coming in? Yeah,
I did, absolutely.
Okay.
So I had a job after AED where I went to go work for Digex. A lot of people in the technology industry remember Digex. Digex used to host Hallmark.com, Ford.com, and they made a lot of business hosting some seedier websites as well.
Okay,
Digex. Yeah, they were a huge web hosting company.
Yeah.
But there I became a Cold Fusion developer. And so I got hired to be a Cold Fusion developer. Here's the thing. I did not know a bit of Cold Fusion. So what I did, I was able to bluff my way through the interview, and I got the job. Nice. And I gave myself a couple of days to learn Cold Fusion. So it's been that way.
What did you do? How did you learn back then? Because we don't have, wasn't Google, wasn't AI.
Yeah, so the good thing about this position is in coding, there's something called commenting, where there's the code, but then there are the comments that go along with the code. Whoever was there before me did a good job of commenting the code. So I could read through it and say, okay, here's what this command does. And, I had the aptitude to be able to do it. Yeah. And Cold Fusion was straightforward enough because it had something called Studio, where you could be developing it and you can see the output of the code right next to it. So you design it, you see it coming up, that's the right thing, that's what I want to happen. So I was able to pick it up quickly.
I love that you said that. I love memes and all that stuff. I'm online. Social media, we do really well with social media. But one of the things, I saw a meme recently said from a young man that joined Lucas, I think it was like Lucas Film, Star Wars. He didn't know anything about video gaming or graphic arts, but he learned on the job. And it says sometimes you have to hire people that don't know, and then it boosts them to learn.
That's right.
You were one of those people. Yeah. And you've expanded it, though, since then.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, even now I still have the same mindset, you can never stop learning.
Yes, I agree.
You always have to challenge yourself. And I get really bored if I can predict what I'm going to be doing from a day-to-day basis. So I'm a part of something called Vistage. So it's a CEO peer mentoring group. And one session we were talking about what we do as CEOs.
Yeah, wow.
And as a CEO, if things are too quiet, you know what we do?
What do you do?
We blow it up and figure out something new to do.
You find something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, all right, I'm done here, so let me go add another challenge. And I've always been that person.
I wonder if that's what I'm doing in life, or that's just happening magically. Because something's always blowing up for me. Yeah. And I'm always having to figure it out. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I know I'm on the right path. I'm getting your book, by the way.
I appreciate that.
So if you could talk about a little bit about this area, because this show is about the DMV. I'm so DMV focused. I was raised in New York, early life, but then I moved here at like 11, 10. And I've been from Virginia to Maryland, and I love it here. Yeah. I love the DMV. Yeah. And Maryland, I'm home now. I'm in PG County. I love PG.
Okay.
You started in this area.
I did.
If you don't mind telling us a little bit about your upcoming, like your upbringing in this area as a young man.
Yeah, so I grew up in a neighborhood called Hillcrest Heights. Everyone knows Temple Hills, but where I lived, my neighborhood was Hillcrest Heights. There are multiple neighborhoods inside Temple Hills. Mine was the one that's right across the southeast line.
Okay.
So Hillcrest Heights, to fast forward to me being CIO for Prince George's County, was one of the 6 neighborhoods that the county executive at the time, Rashawn Baker, said gave Prince George's County its bad reputation. And looking back, it was justified. You know, so, but back then it was just home.
Yeah.
So it was a hard scrabble kind of, you know, where a lot of fighting and other things went on. But at the same time, it gave me a little bit of an edge that served me long term. You know, so
what would that edge be?
So that edge is, you know, that you can't be a pushover.
Yeah.
You cannot be a pushover.
Yeah.
You know, so the parallels are in business, it's a competition. It is a fight, you know, because you're competing against other companies that offer the same services. You know, same thing as being in a neighborhood like that. I mean, you know, there are all of these petty dynamics in a neighborhood like that, you know, where you're from this street, I'm from this street, and, you know, there's the conflict. But same thing in business. But that is, from an early age, that was put into. You know, that it was, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that we didn't have a lot growing up. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. Like I said, my father worked for the post office, didn't make a lot. You know, so I talked about $45,000 when I was 23. My father never made more than $45,000 base salary. You know, so he had night differential. You know, he would do overtime to get the revenue up. But looking back, I don't know how he did it.
I said the same thing with my mother.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mother, and I have 3 boys. She raised 2 kids, and I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how he made that work.
Yeah.
You know, because I knew we weren't the richest, but I didn't feel poor either. You know, but at the same time, it really taught me the value of money. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I didn't want. You know, and I knew that growing up, I didn't have designer labels. So if I wanted designer labels, I had to earn the money to get it. So I started working at 14. My first job was 14, selling newspaper subscriptions door to door. After that, I worked for Popeyes. You know, so I worked for UPS. Back then, it was National Tire and Battery, NTD. You know, I did all of these things.
I'm happy that you touched on those jobs.
Yep.
So you understand the people.
That's right.
Because of this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also important for people to understand that I didn't just appear as a CIO either. There was a long path to get to that point. You know, so there are a lot of things that will never show up on my resume, jobs that I had. You know, had 8 years of federal experience. You know, working in the federal government as a federal employee. You know, but these are all things that really put me on the path, and you take little things from every job, every experience that you're a part of.
Wow. That's tremendous, because sometimes, you know, I speak to a lot of youth, they don't see that outcome can be. They just don't, this is impossible, this is where it's at right now. And I would say, you know, like you say, don't settle, blow it up a little bit. Pull off that Band-Aid.
That's right.
Jump into that fire. Maybe you might trigger something inside of you that you didn't know you even had. Wow, that's great stuff. So,
and something else I'll touch on there is that, of course, as young people, it's because of social media, everybody wants to be a CEO. I'm a CEO. Not knowing what it means to be a CEO. And if I were a CEO any sooner than I was, I wouldn't have been ready. So all of those things across decades-long career really put me in position to be successful. And it's still not easy. I mean, there's still things that come up where I'm like, wow. You know, it's not, I say over and over again, it's not for the faint of heart, being a CEO. And especially being a CEO that has to make payroll every 2 weeks. And pay a lease every month. And that's just part of your expenses, you know. So to be a CEO, there's a lot that goes into it. And so you have to learn what it means, whether it's through school, whether it's working your way up, you know, whether it is founding your own startup, you know, but you really have to learn what it means to be a CEO, because it is not easy.
It's not supposed to be, though.
Yeah, I mean, if it was, everyone
would
would be a CEO, and then where's the team if everyone's a CEO? That's right.
Man, congratulations on all that you've done, because that's motivation for me. I love the program that you created. One question I had was the program. What are the criteria for the young folk to join your program, the name of the program, and how do they contact you to get into this program as well?
Yeah, so
because you're all about diversity and technology.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And I hope we talk about that.
Yes, I would love to talk more about that.
Yeah, so it's cracking the C code.
Cracking the C code. Yeah.
That's the curriculum. So right now it is free for people to take part in it. So you can go to cracktheccode.com. That's one way that you can go out there.
Cracktheccode.com.
That's right. Cracktheccode.com. And you can go through the curriculum, you can read the book, you can do all of those different things through that. There's also a mobile app that's available for download on iOS and Android called Crack the C Code. The book is called Cracking the C Code. Cracking, that's the biggest difference for the book, and also for the curriculum. So what we're doing is we're focusing on 12 different soft skills that are necessary for people to get to the C level and succeed at the C level based on things that I've learned across my career, some lessons I had to learn the hard way, because I do share a case study in each chapter about why it was necessary for me to learn those things in order for me not to experience those same challenges again. So there's that. In terms of how they can get in contact with me, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Yes, you are.
And I'm the only Vennard Wright in the world, so I'm easy to find as long as you get those two N's in there.
Are you sure you don't live in Vennard Wright?
I am. I've done searches.
You
Unless someone pops
Is
up.
it there's two N's?
I don't know. I haven't even seen a one N Wright.com.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the only one right
I
now.
have a few friends in Vennard. I
Yeah,
never asked your last name.
Vennard Wright.
I never asked your last name, but I didn't ask you.
Yeah, there might be some others, but no, not Vennard.
You would know. You're in IT. You would know.
Yeah,
you would know.
yeah. Believe me, I searched, and there's a story I wrote about in the book about that. There was a guy who worked for me who I had to make a tough decision to let go, and his way of getting me back, he went out and bought VennardWright.com, and he's still sitting on that domain to this day. He's sitting on VennardWright.com.
Oh my goodness!
So what I do is, if you want to get in contact with me, I have VennardW.com, which is shorter than VennardWright.com.
Okay,
so we're
okay.
with VennardW.com.
That's what he did.
That's right. Yeah, he's renewing it. Yeah, he renews it all the time.
Every year.
Yeah, holds it. Yeah.
Oh, every couple years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, you can laugh about it though.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. I mean, I made the guy an offer, but he's holding the grudge that long.
Oh man, you gotta let those go, man. But all you're doing is great, and you're getting the youth involved, and yeah, you want to talk about diversity in technology. I'm all about that. I'm all about that. My buddy created this shirt, Black Tech Matters. He's down in Atlanta.
That's right.
And he's all about getting the youth to understand, there's more we can do. This is what I like about podcasting, because people think, okay, it's just recording, but you have to learn how to use this technology. You have to learn how to use computer. You have to learn how to use Final Cut Pro editing software. Then you start learning about all the technology in computer space, RAM.
That's right.
It starts to, okay, now you need to know tech.
That's
and
right.
that's why I'm pushing tech heavy right now myself. That's right. That's what I'm all about. I'm also trying to work with Prince George's County to create a program for podcasting to influence tech.
So talk to Employee Prince George's.
Yes, I am. I'm with them right now. I am currently,
good.
and that's why you saw me that day.
Very good.
They brought me on to check out
good.
the event. I've been going to a lot of events. That's why I met you.
Yep.
And when they said everything you were doing, I'm sitting there Googling you. I'm like, this guy is unbelievable. I got to talk to him.
I appreciate it. I am blessed. There's certainly there's luck. And it's just making.
Do you think it's luck? Because you said you thought it was luck at first.
So part of it is.
Okay.
So before I solely attribute it to luck, and it's not just luck. There has to be some luck, certainly. When you take a look at, and I think it was in the book Outliers, where, yes, these people put in their 10,000 hours, but there's still an element of luck.
Yeah.
Luck by itself doesn't explain it, because when that opportunity presents itself, you have to be prepared to exploit it.
Yes, I was saying that.
So yes, there is some luck. And here's why I'll say that. Number one, I would say that it's luck that any of us is born. So you think about everything that has to happen for you to be born. Then number two, for me, I was born in the U.S. Then I was born in the U.S. in the Washington, D.C. region, which gives its own set of advantages. Then I was born in the Washington, D.C. region to two parents who are making sure I'm on the right. So I mean, you can just continue.
Yeah.
Then I got with my wife. So all of these things, but that by itself doesn't explain it. I was given a certain amount of intellect. I was given opportunities, and like I said before, I've always been fascinated by success. So I was driven to succeed. So when I was at a certain level, I wasn't happy at that level. I would always push, and if that opportunity wouldn't present itself in that organization, then I go to another organization that would give me that opportunity.
But you were always learning more.
That's right.
You were always wanting more. But you also worked to get the more you wanted.
And I believed I was worthy of it.
And you had the confidence.
That's right.
It's huge too. You gotta have the confidence, and that's where sports comes in. The teamwork in sports. And you training.
That's right.
A lot of athletes.
That's right. And I was an athlete too.
I was an athlete.
That gives you a chip on your shoulder too.
You got this thing that you think you gotta be the best.
That's right. So you gotta believe you're the best. That's right.
And you move with it. That's why I don't get upset when I hear someone says, I'm number one. You're supposed to believe you're number one.
That's right.
And don't let no one else take that away until someone shows you that they may be better. But then you got to work harder in the gym.
That's right.
And beat them again.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, there are times when because I used to run track. And there was this one guy who would line up, and I said, okay, well, we're racing for second. Because I just knew I'm not beating this guy, but I'm gonna beat everybody else.
But how did you ever beat him?
No.
Never beat him.
No, it's this guy.
God-given.
No, this guy. No.
That was his talent. That was
and then there's certain things.
That's like
So even with playing against Michael Jordan in his prime. They knew Michael Jordan was going to do something in there. But hey, you know what? Maybe I get lucky today.
Why not? There's Rex Chapman. I don't know if you follow basketball. Rex Chapman.
Absolutely.
They say he was schooling Mike on the court. But Mike's like, so what? I won rings. You know what I mean? But you have some video of you doing okay. Here goes my championship.
That's right.
So you're right.
All right, so let's go for the championship.
I go for the gusto.
That's right.
I'm all for the gusto. I thank you so much. I'm going to jump into some more questions here because I want to speak on your AI technology. That is amazing.
Thank you.
In 2020, when did you come up with the idea of that? Like, how did the idea form for you to go, whoop, this is my idea,
So I knew that when I started the company in 2020, I eventually wanted to transition away from being a services company into being a product company. Reason being is because one of the biggest reasons I'm in business is to build wealth. Not just for myself, but those around me.
I'm all for that, Vennard.
And one of the most straightforward ways, yes, you can become wealthy with a services company. Absolutely, a lot of people.
But you can burn out with services.
You can burn out. You can cap. There are a lot of people in the space. I mean, it's just a harder path.
It is.
Now, if you can come up with a product that really works, then that's a pretty quick path to become.
And then you can sell it, and they can work, and on its own, it's being purchased.
That's right.
You can put a team behind each thing. You got regions, to expand faster.
So I was always looking for something that could become a product. So I tried a few different things. The reception wasn't necessarily what I wanted it to be, but then there was an incident in May of 2023.
Well, all right.
Say sweet talk. What do you know about that all gas, no brakes?
Man, I heard about that all gas, no brakes. I don't think they gonna let me on. I ain't got a damn thing to talk about.
Ooh, they talk about everything. This is all gas, no brakes. Don't step on the brake. Don't step on the brake. Don't step on the brake. Don't step on the brake.
What up, my boy? Huh? What up, my boy?